Look at a plot of land overlooking the Salish Sea, and the immediate question is what it will cost to build on it. The answer changes wildly depending on which side of the water you are standing on. Historically, building a custom home on Vancouver Island offered a steep discount compared to the Lower Mainland. But heading into 2026, macroeconomic pressures are rapidly closing that gap. Put two identical sets of architectural plans out for tender today, one in Greater Victoria, one in Metro Vancouver, and the resulting contractor estimates will tell a complicated story. Developers and custom buyers anchoring their budgets to pricing assumptions from even 3 years ago are watching their financial models collapse. The starting point for both markets is strict compliance. Whether in Saanich or Burnaby, every new build now operates under the BC Energy Step Code and the Zero Carbon Step Code. Reaching zero operational carbon and net zero energy readiness requires an envelope-first approach. This means extensive energy modeling, airtightness testing, and specific material standards that elevate the baseline price across the board. This chart breaks down the raw dollar per square foot entry point for 2026. Greater Victoria commands between $300 and $650 per square foot, depending on finishes. Over in Metro Vancouver, that same spectrum runs from $450 up to $1,100 or more. The island maintains a clear discount on paper, but multiplying that square footage rate by the total area and assuming that is the final price ignores the regional variables that inflate the total capital required. Metro Vancouver imposes rigorous municipal boundaries on what can be built. Strict lot coverage limits, high utility connection fees, and high-tier step code enforcement demand intensive engineering hours long before construction begins. But as this timeline graphic illustrates, the provincial and municipal reforms enacted between 2024 and 2026 have drastically reduced processing friction. Historical permit delays of 12 to 20 months have collapsed down to highly specific new benchmarks. Standard single-family renovations and additions are now clearing the desks in exactly 3 weeks. Even complex custom builds, accessory dwelling units, and laneway houses are hitting a 12-week processing benchmark. By paying a higher absolute dollar per square foot rate in Vancouver, developers secure a predictable schedule. This reliability minimizes financing and holding costs during the critical pre-construction phase. Cross the Strait to Victoria, and the math shifts entirely. Despite the lower absolute cost, price inflation on the island is accelerating at a much steeper angle than on the mainland. Tracking the Statistics Canada Residential Building Construction Price Index, the divergence is stark. By Q1 2026, Vancouver's index rose 8.9%, while Victoria surged 20.2%. Year over year, the island faces a 6% annualized cost increase, double Vancouver's 3% rate. This steep climb stems from structural labor constraints. While residential development booms on the island have drawn many trades away from the Lower Mainland, Metro Vancouver retains a deep, highly competitive pool of specialized subtrades necessary for complex structural work. When builders in Victoria require niche expertise, they face severe scarcity. Bidding wars for available contractors and the resulting project delays are rapidly consuming the savings generated by the island's historically lower hourly rates. Yet all the fluctuations in labor and material pricing are secondary to the most dominant line item in any custom-build budget, the raw dirt. This comparative scale visualizes the extreme disparity in regional land values. A single building lot on Vancouver's west side commands between $2 and $3.2 million. A premium lot in a Victoria Core municipality like Saanich runs from $600,000 to $1.1 million. In Metro Vancouver, extreme geographic scarcity means the land acquisition alone often devours more than 50% of the total project budget before a single permit is filed. The efficiency of Vancouver's permitting and the deep pool of skilled labor cannot offset a $2 million entry fee. Building in the Lower Mainland requires massive upfront capital strictly to secure a location. The raw numbers dictate that assessing these markets requires knowing exactly what type of capital is being deployed. For individual buyers constructing an entry to mid-range custom home, the Capital Regional District remains highly favorable. Lower initial lot costs and a baseline hard cost starting at $300 a square foot keep the barrier to entry manageable. Conversely, high-density infill developers operating at scale rely on velocity. The predictable 12-week permit timeline and the ability to rapidly secure competitive bids from specialized subtrades make Metro Vancouver's heavy upfront premiums worth the investment. There is no universally cheaper market. The correct calculation depends entirely on the financial scale, risk tolerance, and density goals of the specific project. Two distinct cities governed by the exact same provincial building codes yield entirely different financial outcomes once the hidden variables are factored in. Evaluating a custom residential build in 2026 requires looking past the baseline square footage rate. You must account for local trade availability, land acquisition weight, and regulatory holding costs. To accurately map the capital required for your specific build location and scale, visit silentstory.ca and drop your market parameters for a precise lot-by-lot breakdown. A reliable budget is no longer derived simply from reading a contractor's estimate. It is built by understanding the macroeconomic multipliers of the ground you are standing on.